Pretty, pretty nice looking old fucking girl, huh? Again, gonna try getting it running today, and I haven't ran it yet. No, I haven't ran this thing in a long time. I I always keep it in. I got its own little home for it over there, but I don't know. I try to keep that shed like with like just this and like my weed whackers, my chainsaws. I try to keep it real empty, just because we got a lot of vermins around here, mice this time of year. That's why I was like, I got to get this thing running, just too much shit. That's the problem when you have so much stuff, just shit just breaks. The worst thing you can do is let things sit. Like even like that tractor, that thing, like now I gotta take that tractor apart and redo the clutch. I'll probably open it up and there's a mouse in the clutch. But yeah, I went to go start this thing today, and I was I don't know, I got a guy that I work with sometimes. I'm not gonna call him my friend because he's actually a fucking worthless, backstabbing fucking. He'd stab me in the back as quick as pie. Piece of shit over. He'd stab me in the butt. He'd stab me in the back over money. Worst kind of guy in the world will stab you in the back over money. But anyway, yeah. But he never rode, and I've been riding my whole life. Like I'm literally like, I'd consider myself a biker. The first car I ever rode was a motorcycle. Back when I was. It's fun. Well, when I was a kid, we couldn't have. I couldn't. All my cousins. See, my family, they had a big ironworking company. My uncles and my dad, and so my cousins were all fucking like spoiled. Just had fucking. My aunts and uncles like had my cousins because they like wanted them. I think. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure. They had kids because they wanted to like buy them things and shit. Kind of like me. I wouldn't. That's I don't know. I kind of sometimes that's a big something. At nighttime, like sometimes I think, man, I wish I would have things would have went different in life. I always like when you're a kid growing up, you always picture yourself someday when I'm a dad or whatever. But anyway, off topic. But yeah. They all had quads and shit when they were little kids and stuff, you know what I mean? And my dad fucking buy me a fucking wheelbarrow and a fucking pitchfork, fucking, I think on my one birthday he bought me a fucking lawnmower. Not even joking. He bought me a lawnmower. He gave the lawnmower to the guy that sold me this fucking rig right here. As a matter of fact, another one. Got eaten up by vermins. But yeah, when I got this, it was dumped on its side, and it was in pretty rough shape. She was rough, and she had like emblems on it and stuff like. See, I like my shit clean. I like nothing. I don't want any logos, stickers. I like my shit clean. It's just dark, long, low, and clean. This is a 99 first year of that engine right there, 88 cubic inch. But yeah, I went to go fucking get her running today, and sure enough, pulled the seat up, and boom, mouse. As soon as you lift the seat up, there's cotton balls. And they were chewing on the wires, so I gotta. Electrical sucks. I hate electrical. Doing electrical. I don't mind doing any other kind of work on machinery and stuff like that. Electrical, I don't know. It's just not my thing. I can do it. I'm actually very good at it, to be honest. Electrical is very hard. I've fixed a lot of things over the years that went to like numerous shops. Like I'm talking, they went to 15 shops and they couldn't find the problem with them. And I fixed things like that. Probably 10, 15 cases like that. They brought their trucks to dealers and you name it, and nobody could fix it. And I found a problem. I have a process of how I do it. I learned as a mechanic. You have to fix the problem if you're going to work on something. Otherwise, you just wasted time and money. So I have a process I go through. It's called process of elimination. Sometimes it works very good. Sometimes it's also made me look like an idiot too. Where like say I don't just get under something and start looking at wires. I literally, if like say something's not working, like a tail light or something, I literally go from the fuse box, from the switch back, you know. And it's just it might take me longer, but I'm guaranteed to find the fix, you know, to find that problem. Where say I just climb, and then once I find the fucking once I find the problem, half of the time I'm like, what an idiot! Why didn't I just crawl under this? By the time I get to the rear of the truck, it's 3 hours later, and I could have just, if I would have just like crawled under the truck and looked under there, I would have seen the wire got cut by that shock mount or something like that. You know, it happens to me a lot. Because I've also done it, you know, that way in the past, where you just, you know, start looking around and you never find it. You'll never find it. You know what I mean? It's just not a guarantee. So I've learned I came up with guaranteed ways of, you know, process of elimination when it came to electrical. A real good mechanic does. You know, there's very few shops you'll go to where you actually have like a real mechanic in the, you know, he'll have a crew of 15 gophers or whatever. Like my buddy Mark's one, you know, he runs a shop, you know, and I have 10 guys working for him. A couple times I was down there where he's got the 2 little Mexicans or whatever working on the thing. And I were over there messing with it for 2 hours, and finally the customer is like, when is my car going to be done? And I watch Mark go over there and throw it back together in 20 minutes. He's like, well, he's like, you know, I had him messing it for 2 hours, and finally I'm like, I just had to get it done. You know? And he's offered me jobs. I've never worked at a shop besides for myself. I've never worked on I've never wanted to be a mechanic. I could never see myself working in the same building every day. And they work such long hours. They work like 15 they work like 9 hours a day, 8 to 10 hours a day, 6 days a week, some of them. And it's like, horrible going to the same building every day. And just like, I don't know, eating at the same place for lunch, looking at the same guys. And I don't know, I don't think I could do it. I'm a very good mechanic. I should. My dad used to always get upset with me because I would I'm the kind of guy where most people, when they get like my buddy Mark, you know, he found out I was actually a mechanic before him. Me and him grew up together, and he was just like, he was kind of just a fucking pothead and shit. And I used to restore old cars. I liked cars and dirt bikes and stuff like that. And just hanging around with me, you know, he had no interest in like machinery. He couldn't ride motorcycles very well or anything. But, you know, we hung out. So me and him were always together. And, you know, I had old trucks, and he helped me with, you know, yeah, he wasn't a mechanic forever because he was always around me working on things. And he ended up at a place where they were he had a mini little, the shop had sold used cars, you know, a lot of mechanic shops, you know, they sell used cars, you know. And he was like a couple $100 short of the car. And the guy was like, yeah, well, you know, and I don't know, something I came up where the guy was like, well, if you want, I'll give you a job. And Mark ended up being a very good mechanic. And now he's like, and then he went and got all his certs and, you know, all that shit. But yeah, he's offered me jobs. And then my other friend that I have, I only have a few friends in this whole world that I consider my friends. Actually, me and him grew up. My grandfather used to, in his old age, used to fix up tractors. That's how I got into the tractors. We used to fix up tractors and sell them and make, you know, my grandfather used to, you know, supplement his income with tractors, you know. You know, and once he got tired of, when he got too old to do cordwood and firewood and stuff, he was an iron worker for his profession and a farmer. Actually, he owned this land at one time. My dad, this was a big farm at one time, big dairy farm, back before I was born. When I was a little kid, this was a dairy farm, and right here you're on a back 40, you know. And then my dad. I don't know, the cows, farming hit a fucking decline where the money wasn't there, and Dad met my mom, and he needed to make some money, and he went iron working, just like my other uncles. But yeah, how'd I end up here? But anyway, my cousins and them all had quads and dirt bikes and stuff. My aunts and uncles, like, they're spoiled, you know, and My dad, no. If you never bought, I always thought that shit was stupid, waste of money. And my dad wasn't a very nice guy. He didn't. My dad didn't enjoy people being happy. That's what it was. My dad didn't enjoy watching somebody be happy. He enjoyed watching people be miserable. He enjoyed people. He enjoyed. He was a pretty sick man. To be honest, it was like that. Wouldn't let anybody borrow anything. Like say, like we have fucking 40 acres here, right? So obviously we got tractors. But say my neighbor would ask me to come over and do something with the tractor for like an hour or something like that. I'd ask Dad, and it'd be like, tell him to buy his own tractor. And it's like stuff like that, just that would bring him pleasure. That was him. That would bring him pleasure. Or, the saying, never own a pickup truck because then everybody wants to use it all the time. Somebody asked, if he could use it, get your own damn truck kind of guy. Stuff like, he was just fucking nasty like that. And I'm not like that one bit. Anything I've always been like, I've always liked, if I could do anything to make somebody get further in life, that brought me pleasure. I honestly get more out of seeing people succeed than my success, to be honest. It just makes me happy. It's always been that way. I like watching that. I don't know, I enjoy it. I enjoy buying people things. I enjoy helping people, and it makes me feel like, I don't know, it's like the best gift I can give somebody. It's like when I give somebody something that they really appreciate. If it's not like I just want to walk around giving people things, but if I can do something to where like it's in my hands, where like say, like last winter, me and Matt, there was a lady that had like an apartment we were working on, had I don't know what she had. She had some kind of tremors, and it was bad. I tried healing her, and she did get a little better, but I think she would have had to like, a lot of that I think starts out as like, you have to get to the source of what started that. And I mean, if you're into medical, it's whatever. But I believe it was, I don't know, God told me to go pray on her. And I went over to the lady and I asked her, I said, can I pray for you? And and then I walked away, and Matt told me that she came up to him afterwards and was like crying, like, I couldn't believe that, like she was like touched by it. Like, I've never, out of all these years, my brothers and nobody's ever asked to pray for me, and it was like, but to me, that was like a huge gift. I was just like, that made me so like, it was so worth it. Like, it was almost embarrassing, like, oh God, do I have to, like go pray for this lady? And I remember, but then she needed a smart TV. She had like an older, the old TVs, like, from the 90s or whatever, the big, 32-inch sharp TV or whatever. And she had, like, she was in rough shape. She had the alert button, help by falling and I can't get up kind of thing. I don't know if you're as old as me, you remember that, the old smart. Help by falling and I can't get up, the first alert or whatever. And the guys that came to install it for her couldn't do it because she didn't have a smartphone. That's what it was. She didn't have a smartphone because, for one, she couldn't use a smartphone because she couldn't, this lady was like, Michael J. Fox. She had like the Michael J. Fox thing going on, and she couldn't even use a smartphone if you gave it to her. And me and Matt, somehow she needed a TV, and we went out and bought her a TV, a smart TV. And Matt's girlfriend was pissed, and Matt was like, and the lady was so thankful that Matt's kind of a changing man. We are always changing, and it's like when you start changing for the good, there's no better feeling than it, man. It's just like, I understand Jesus, it's like Jesus dead, and But Matt experienced that feeling of just like how reward, yeah, he got yelled at by his girlfriend and called of course, his old lady's a piece of shit too, you know. I watched him get screamed at for buying his grandmother a fucking dishwasher, you know. I mean, I'm talking ruthless screaming, like she's possessed like my mother, same fucking demon, I think. And but Matt was very. He's like, that was the best feeling that he's ever had. He said, out of everything, out of all the drugs and the fucking things he's received, he's been rich, poor, and just the fact that he bought that lady something. And I mean, he's got kids too, where he buys things that his kids need and stuff like that or want, and they got quads and dirt bikes and stuff. But that feeling of just somebody needed something so bad that was out of their reach. And when you can give somebody something that they want, that they really, that feeling of, that it was like, how am I ever gonna get that feeling of giving somebody something that they really need is just it's a freaking awesome feeling. I love it. It's happened to me a few times over years where I've actually been able to give somebody that they really want, and really need, and I love it. I'd give anything to somebody if they could, if I could have that feeling. I don't think there's a better feeling. I don't know, there isn't. If you can help somebody in need when they're really out, really down, do it. And it's the most rewarding feeling you can ever feel. And that's my opinion. And I'm pretty sure it's the human inside of us. Like, I don't know. I just don't think there's a better feeling, man. It lightens up your day, man. It puts it like, yeah. Matt found that out, and I remember that. I'm like, I'm thinking like, like I said, he's a nice guy. Where he's also a fucking lying sack of shit. But anyway, but yeah, the feeling to give people something is cool, just. But where was I going? So yeah. But anyway, okay, yeah, that's where I was going. My dad was mean, and my mom made money. She was an RN. She was a registered nurse and stuff, But yeah, I also had a brother and a sister, and I don't know, dirt bikes, I don't know. My mom could never afford to buy me a new quad or something like that, a dirt bike. And my dad would have never done it, so I've always loved fucking motorcycles though. When I was a little kid, I used to pray for bikes every Christmas when I believed in Santa Claus, I was praying for a quad. I was praying for a quad like my cousins, and I could just picture myself going out. It was like, that was like a dream. Like, dear Santa, please bring me a quad. And every fucking winter, every Christmas, I would look outside and there wouldn't be a quad there. Because my cousins got quads from Santa. My cousins got quads from Santa. And they were like video game kids. They could care less. They had quads and they literally sat in the garage. And I used to see it like, why would you, if I had that quad, I'd be out on it every day, all day. Like, I could never figure that out, Why don't you bring me one, Santa? It was like that, like, it hurt, My cousins, all my cousins have quads and dirt bikes that Santa brought them, and I'm the one that really, really wants one, and Santa won't bring me one, And I never got my quad from Santa. And so, as soon as I started working, though, I had dirt bikes and stuff. As soon as I hit high school, I was an iron worker when I was 13 years old. I started working for my uncle, doing iron worker, I don't know, he hired me on a work, I had to go up to the town hall and get a work permit. Or no, the first year he just hired me because I couldn't even get a work permit or whatever. And I had to say that I was just like cleaning up trash on a job site. But I started going to work at like 13 or 14. And I loved it. Because I also came off of this farm too, like growing up with my dad. I remember my dad used to come home and talk about work, like, oh, work, so fucking hard. And, I'd be out here working like a fucking dog with my dad. And he'd